Have y'all seen this? Does biology and clocks have anything to do with each other? Hello, welcome to She Knows DNA. My name is Mia Vanna and I'm a board certified genetic counselor. Biological clock is something that women have been saying for many, many years. And they use this term to describe the time frame in their life in which they're able to have children. But the crazy thing about it is they have that end date being 35 years. That's crazy because in the grand scheme of things, 35 is not old. Essentially, these women are just saying that they need to have children before the age of 35. So the question that we are going to talk about today is, what is up with this tick-tocking clock? And can women have children after the age of 35? Do you want me to spoil the answer now? Yeah, I'm a little impatient, so let me tell you the truth. Yes, you can have children at or after 35 years old. All right, y'all, let's get into it. So the biological clock essentially maps out the time frame in which you can get pregnant. So the beginning time frame of whenever a woman is able to have children is marked by their first menstrual cycle. And this typically happens between 11 and 12 years old. Fun fact, did you know that Black girls are more likely to start puberty and their menstrual cycles earlier than any other race? So girls that have their period on the earlier side, so we're talking about 7 years old to 10, are deemed to have precocious puberty. Now, there's also a genetic syndrome called McComb-Albright syndrome. And in those babies, the girl is usually starting their period around 2 years old. Now, y'all, that is crazy. Okay, back to the tick-tock and biological clock. Females are born with all of the eggs that they will ever have. Every month, ovulation is happening. Now, how you know that you are getting to the end of the eggs that are inside of you can be marked by perimenopause. And once you hit menopause, then you know your childbearing years are over. Menopause usually begins between about 45 and 55 years of age. Now, if you start menopause at 40 years old or younger, you may need to get that checked out. One of the conditions that comes to mind for premature menopause is being a Fragile X mutation carrier. Look it up. Now, there is a question that my Aunt Sugar asked me not that long ago that relates directly to this topic. She asked if the age that you start your menstrual cycle affects the age that you will go into menopause. That answer is yes. And that makes sense because the earlier you are releasing those eggs every month, the earlier that you'll run out, thus putting you in early menopause. With that in mind, remember what I told y'all about Black girls? It is plausible to conclude that Black girls are more prone to go into early menopause just because they're starting their periods earlier than other races. All right, y'all, so now we have solidified that the childbearing biological clock is from about 11 years old to 55 years old. Now, if that's true, where do we get this 35-year-old mark from? I'm glad you asked. If a woman is 35 years or older by the date that their baby is born, their pregnancy is considered high risk. The term we use for this is advanced maternal age. Now, I know most of you know this as a geriatric pregnancy. I've even had a patient or two come in and say, listen, I want to tell you I am not old and I think the word geriatric is disrespectful and you need to change it. And I had to tell her, girl, we already changed it. So it's no longer considered a geriatric pregnancy. It's now considered advanced maternal age. That sounds better. Now, there are a number of risks that is associated with a pregnancy complicated by advanced maternal age. On the genetics side, there is an increased risk for the baby to have an abnormal number of chromosomes. So since women are born with all the eggs that they will ever have, just like she has a birthday and gets older every year, so does her eggs. So 35 years old is when we start having this conversation, but there is a risk for an abnormal number of chromosomes in your baby, no matter how old you are. There's also not a big jump from the risk when you were 34 to 35. It's very gradual. We just start having that conversation at 35. But why does this happen? Y'all remember the terms meiosis and mitosis when you were in your science class at school? Well, during meiosis, there is this phenomenon where the chromosomes of the mother get stuck together. So that results in a baby having too many chromosomes or too little. So the conditions that the baby is at risk of is trisomy 1, that we know as Down syndrome, trisomy 18, or Edwards syndrome, trisomy 13, or Patau syndrome, triple X syndrome, and Klinefelter syndrome, just to name a few. These are also the same conditions that's on a prenatal screen that is called a non-invasive prenatal test. And also, that test can tell you the sex of the baby, which is why a lot of people call it the gender test. Now, please know when these aneuploidy or these chromosomal abnormalities occur, it is because it's completely random. At least that is true for majority of the time. It's just something that happens, and no, there is not a cure. Long story short, the woman's biological clock does not end at 35 years of age. 35 years old is whenever you're considered to have a high-risk pregnancy that's complicated by advanced maternal age. But please hear me clearly. You can absolutely have a healthy baby once you're 35 years or older that is not affected with any of those chromosomal conditions that I reviewed. Now to leave you with words of wisdom. My brother had a birthday the other day, so in honor of him, these are his wise words. Can you still be a cowboy on the days that you're not wearing your boots? I'm gonna let that sit in your spirit for a moment. All right, y'all, that's all for now. Like I always say, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. And if there is a topic y'all want me to cover, hit me up. Educators, I know y'all just started a new semester, and I know those kids are getting on your nerves already. So please let me know if you would like to have a super cool, awesome, fun genetic counselor talk to your class. For clarity, I'm that cool genetic counselor. All right, y'all. See you next time. Bye.